like to call this meeting, the Clay County Commission, to order. We will start with our invocation. Pastor Jason Edwards, if you'd like to come forward. As the pastor is making his way forward, I'd like to remind those who are wanting to speak this evening to make sure that the light is green when they come up. Speak into the microphone. It tells your name for the auto recordings, and then proceed with that. Pastor?
Infinite God, we pray that you would help us in our conversations and presentations this evening to act in and with your wisdom. That you would grant us your wisdom in the decisions that we make. That you would grant us your wisdom in the way we make those decisions. That you would grant us your wisdom in the way we implement those decisions. And that you would grant us your wisdom in the moments when we discuss those decisions with people who may not agree with our perspective. We ask all of this in your name, our infinite and loving God. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte? Here. Commissioner Withington?
Here.
Commissioner Lawson?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
That brings us to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion related to approval of this evening's agenda? Commissioner Wagner?
Thank you. Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion has been made to adopt this evening's agenda. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
That brings us to public comments. Are there members of the public who would like to make any comments at this time? Seeing none. That brings us to our consent agenda. Administrator?
The consent agenda allows the Commission to act upon items considered to be routine and approved in one motion. These may include items that have been reviewed by the Commission in a prior session. There will be no separate discussion unless a Commissioner requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. There are 3 items on this evening's consent agenda. Resolution 2023-327 is approving invoice payments for the county from October 7th through October 13th. There are 457 invoices totaling $1,007,960.08. Resolution 2023-330 is approving 4379 form with the Missouri Department of Revenue. And our final item is 2023 Ordinance 38, approving the renewal of the ordinance authorizing issuance of amusement and recreation licenses.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Wagner?
Thank you. Move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion has been made for the approval of this evening's consent agenda. Is there any comment or question? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Brings us to our regular agenda. First item on this evening's regular agenda is 2023-328. Administrator?
Resolution 2023-328 is approving invoice payments for the Clay County Prosecutor's Office from October 7th to October 13th. There are 6 invoices totaling $1,516.80.
Is there a motion related to 2023-328? Commissioner Wagner?
Thank you. Move to approve 2023-328.
Is there any discussion or question for that issue on the floor? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
I recuse myself.
Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 5 in favor, 1 recusal.
That brings us to item 2023-325. Administrator?
Resolution 2023-325 is the consideration of approving the 2024 application for group life insurance with Standard Insurance Company. Director Callahan is here to provide information to the commission.
Please proceed.
Okay, good evening, Commissioners. Kim Callahan, HR Director. This is 2023-325, right, approval for the 24 group life insurance. Our current provider, MetLife, proposed a 35% increase. So CBIZ, our insurance broker, took it to market, and these were the proposals. Let's see. Okay, so like I said, MetLife came in at 39% for 1 year. Prudential came in at 25% above the current rate for a 3-year rate guarantee. The Standard came in at 17 above the current rate for a 3-year guarantee. And Guardian came in at 42% above the current rate for 2 years. Sun Life, Reliance, Mutual of Omaha, and Hartford declined to quote. So our basic life and AD&D is we provide insurance that's 2 times the basic annual earnings up to $250,000 for each full-time employee. It's one of the benefits that our full-time employees receive from the county. We're proposing going with the Standard because they also have a new line of duty benefit for county employees, which provides an additional $50,000 benefit in the unfortunate event that an eligible employee perishes while on duty. So we're proposing that we go with the Standard this year. And you can see the rate differences. Did anyone have questions?
Any questions? Commissioner Wagner?
Move to-
Recognized?
Yeah, I was seeing no questions. I move to approve 2023-325.
Okay. Motion's been made for the approval of 2023-325. Discussion? Okay, seeing none. You have nothing to add? Very good. In that case, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
That brings us to 2023 Ordinance 37. Administrator?
2023 Ordinance 3-7 is a consideration of approving the annual fee schedule with long-term planning from 2024 through 2028. And County Auditor Herbert is here to provide information to the commission.
Please proceed.
Yes, Victor Hurlbert, Clay County Auditor. Before you is 2023 Ordinance 37. It's our 5-year fee schedule plan. It assists the county in its revenue planning for our budget process, and it's something that you've seen before. We do this every year. I did want to make one note. We would like to make one change, and we've informed staff about this change, but essentially, County Clerk would like to make an adjustment to the last page of that section for the firework permits. We had $250 from 2023 through 2028. We would like to change that to $200 for firework permits for all those years as well. That would be consistent with the ordinance you just approved in your consent agenda, 2023 Ordinance 38, as well as the current fee that's being charged. So we just think we wanted to make that minor update to this ordinance before you on 37. And other than that, I got the departments here to answer any questions about their fees, and happy to take any questions as well.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? Quiet group tonight. Thank you. Mr. Counselor, I just want to make sure I'm doing this parliamentarily correctly. Can we make this one change and just make it in the motion, or is it going to require an amendment?
I think it's acceptable to make the change right here, and it will be okay. It doesn't need to make any,
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
it's okay to make the change in this meeting.
In the motion? Great, okay. Just want to make sure. Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. Move to approve 2023 Ordinance 37 to include the changes as outlined by the county auditor.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2023 Ordinance 37 with the one change noted during discussion. Discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wagner.
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson.
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Withington.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
That brings us to two companion items, 2023-331 and 2023-332. Administrator?
Resolutions 2023-331 and 332 are companion resolutions regarding a conditional use permit. Director Jones is here to provide information.
Please proceed.
Kip Jones, Planning Director. So this is a rezoning and conditional use permit. It's a property that's currently zoned commercial. It's the Ectonville gas station located off 92 Highway. The proposal is to get rid of the gas station and change it to a recreational vehicle and boat storage facility. I'm going to show you a couple site plans because yesterday the applicant submitted a new site plan that was different than what the Planning and Zoning Commission approved. And staff's recommendation would be for the commission to remand this back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for them to review the new site plan. And we would like to do that for a couple reasons. One, it's going to give staff time to review the new plan and then reach out to all those outside agencies that we reach out to with each case. And it's also going to allow us to send new letters to the adjacent property owners because the plan presented at the Planning and Zoning Commission is not now the current plan, and we want the neighbors to have input on this case as well. I would not say that we've had opposition to this case, but we did have citizens come to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting with questions, so we want them to have the opportunity to look at the new site plan. I am going to show you, so this is the original site plan. The buildings in red are the existing buildings. The buildings in yellow would be what would be proposed. There would be roughly 78,000 square feet of building with this plan. The updated plan is on the screen now, the two existing buildings in red and the three proposed buildings in yellow. You can see it changes the building location, distance to property lines, and it also changes the square footage. That gets it to about 102,000 square feet of building space, so we're talking about 24,000 additional square feet. So staff worked with county council. We believe this is a significant enough change that it should be remanded back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I am happy to give a full presentation if the county commission wishes, but I thought I would stop at this point and answer any questions that the board members have. The applicant is present as well.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Withington.
So the biggest change is that it's going to be vertical instead of horizontal
Yes, and size of buildings.
in size of the buildings. So your recommendation is that this goes back to planning and zoning and it basically starts over?
It goes back to planning and zoning and then would come back to the county commission after planning and zoning votes on it.
Okay, is the applicant fine with that?
I think their preference would be that you approve it tonight, but I think they understand why we're requesting that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Wagner.
No, I was going to make a motion unless there were other comments to be made.
Are there, we can, of course, have more comments even after your motion, but is there any other comments or questions of the commissioners? Proceed.
Thank you. I move to remand 2023-331 and 2023-332 back to the planning department, or excuse me, planning commission.
Very well. Motion's been made to remand back to the Planning and Zoning Commission items 2023-331, 2023-332. Any further discussion? Commissioner Carpenter, I believe.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just, as part of the discussion and having the full picture before we vote on this. I didn't know if we wanted to hear from the applicant, or at least if offer to hear from the applicant if they so desire. That might help me, understand their perspective at least.
If you would like to come forward and speak, please do.
My name's Adam Tholen, and the main reason for changing this is if you look on the way those buildings, the units, their hash marks are in a diagonal, and it just allows for easier parking. It's a new way that it's a brand-new design that now the buildings the units will be at a 60-degree angle, so it's easier to park, and you're not trying to go at a 90-degree. The buildings cost more, but we think it'll be better for the customer in the long run. So it's worth it for us to wait, and we've already started to clear the property and clean up all the trash and everything that's there. So we're in the process of demoing the buildings and everything now. So I appreciate it.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Any questions of the applicant? Commissioner Wagner?
Yes. I make the motion because I take it very seriously when we kind of get a change at the last minute.
Yes, sir.
So I have to ask why the change at the last minute, and why not allow the commission to have seen this design yesterday?
So, and I appreciate that, and I'm sorry. The 90% of the companies that we reached out to give us bid proposals and everything on our original design and everything before we even bought it, gave us old traditional building layout. Just about 6 days ago, we had a company said, hey, why don't you put them on an angle? It's a better way, it's easier to park, la-di-da-di-da. And I had to get with my engineer and see if he could do it. And the engineer worked on it, and I got it to him. That was like the first I could possibly get it. I wasn't trying to hide anything or hold off, and I apologize. I just feel it's a better product, and it was worth making the change and not.
Sure.
So.
And it very well may be, and this may be far better for all the reasons that you've said. And I appreciate the answer, but I do feel like that group's supposed to give us guidance, and they didn't have that opportunity.
I understand.
But.
And I'm sorry, I truly am. I
got you. No problem. No,
it was crazy. I mean, literally, and so I called other people, and it's so new that like even the other building companies like, yeah, we'd like to be able to do it, but we can't. Our equipment doesn't do that. So.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Any further comments or questions from the commission? Seeing none. With that, you're recognized to close.
I close.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, did you have anything? Okay.
No, sir. No, sir.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Brings us to our discussion items. First item up for discussion is 2024 budget, outside agencies from the administrator.
Yes, thank you. We are, as you heard from our auditor early when bringing the fees to you, we are in preparations for the 2024 fiscal year budget. And as part of that process, as historically has been, we've reached out and we have partners in the community, which usually does receive funding from the county. And so you have before you in the packet a list of the agencies along with what was funded this year to those agencies, also with the request that the agencies have made for 2024. We've asked the agencies to be here this evening to share information with the commission about their organization, what they do, and certainly what their proposal is for the funding that they are asking from the county. And so not all of our agencies were able to be here tonight. So we'll start with the ones that are, and then I'll give you a little update on those that are not able to be here this evening. So we'll start with the University of Missouri Extension Office, and G.K. Callahan is here, and he's going to provide you some information.
Hi, good evening, Commission. Nice to see some familiar faces.
Don't forget to turn on your mic. There you go.
Well, hi again. Nice to see some familiar faces again. As you know, I work for the University of Missouri Extension, but I'm the liaison for the Clay County Council, who was actually the one requesting the funds for you guys. How do I make it go forward?
Just left click.
Oh, went too far.
Or you can just use the scroll.
Anyway, I'm just going to go. So, as you know, we have a long-standing partnership that's solidified within state statute. So I just wanted to point that out tonight. And we really appreciate your long support. Our mission at the University of Missouri is really to bring Mizzou to you. We try to bring research-based knowledge to the people, businesses, and municipalities to try to make informed decisions to improve the quality of their life. I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Okay, so our main named programs that we offer within Clay County and the whole urban west, which is Clay, Jackson, and Platte County, are nutrition and health, workforce development, horticulture and agriculture. We have a volunteer tax assistant program called VITA, our 4-H youth development program, community health, community development, which focuses primarily on art and placemaking. What all that means is we really are doing community development through education. And why I think you should continue to invest in MU Extension is that we're a sustainable option, because we not only are providing resources for the community, but we're really teaching the community how to fish, right? We're giving them that long-term knowledge so they can continue to make decisions long after they don't need our services anymore. They've, really improved their knowledge, they've improved their health. I'm going to talk about some highlights that we offer here within Clay County, so not just in the region. These are all going to be, for the most part, Clay County specific. As I say that, regionally, in our nutrition and health program, we have a seniors farmer market program where we give out vouchers to seniors to be able to buy local produce at farmers market. This year, we handed out $55,000 to over 1,100 seniors within the Kansas City region. But in Clay County alone, we've touched over 1,100 people through programs like Our Matter of Balance, Taking Care of You. We have diabetes management with chronic self-pain. As you can see, there's a list of multiple partners that are spread up through and around the county. We also have our 4-H youth program. This year, so far, we've had about 1,500 youth where we've touched them in subjects like STEM, theater, gardening, robotics, pet care, sewing, and much more. 4-H is really about improving your communication skills and learning just to be a better human in society. And it's a wonderful program. I know a number of you have actually volunteered with the program. I saw a few of you this year at the Clay County Fair helping us judge. As you can see, this program is also spread throughout the county in places like the Excelsior Springs Community Center, the Liberty Community Center, the Johnson Askins Farms, and Gladstone. So we really work hard and diligently to try to make sure we're touching as many places around the county as we can. We've also, this year, I'm very excited about, hired a horticulture specialist for our county specifically. The horticulture specialist that we have now was over all 3 counties, and now we have a Clay County specific horticulture specialist. Dr. Higgins has really started by assisting people with their soil test results, and he's working with the Department of Ag on collecting data about farmers market programs throughout Clay County. He also serves on the Clay County Soil and Water Conservation District. He's the secretary for the district. And he's involved in the Ferris Farm conversation. I'm sure many of you are familiar with what's going on with the farm. MU Extension is trying to help assist there. And then he's been teaching classes for the youth through the Garden and Grow program. In addition to our horticulture program, we have a very active Master Gardener program. They have a very large chapter here in Kansas City with over 400 volunteers. In Clay County alone, though, they really wanted me to let you know that they're super proud of all the work, especially they do at the Atkins Johnson Farm. This year, they donated 2,271 pounds of produce back to food banks that they grew here locally with their volunteer efforts. As you can see, we're not just at the Atkins Johnson Farm, but we also are at the Martha Lafitte Nature Sanctuary and the Watkins Mill Historic Site. Another program that I love to talk about, and I actually have one of my colleagues here in the audience that helps run that program, is the Volunteer Tax Assistance Program. Now, in 2022, since we don't have all of our 2023 numbers yet, we brought back for the KC region around $5 million in tax refunds to houses that are low to moderate income, that's a 65K, or people with disabilities, limited English, or seniors over 60. This year so far, they've done 4,317 tax refunds for free for those group members. We have 2 sites in Clay County, one at Maplewood College and one at the Liberty Silver Center. And then lastly, out of all the programs I mentioned earlier, our community health program is really focused right now on efforts in Excelsior Springs with the SAFE Coalition and the Thrive Network. So those are just a few highlights of some of the things we're doing in the community. I think I forgot to mention this earlier when I clicked through the slides, but in Clay County alone, our office of only 7 serves about 11,000 people a year within the county out of these programs that I just mentioned today. So if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Lawson.
Yeah, I just want to say that I was involved with some of their activities for the 4-H. I helped judge a contest, and I think I talked to y'all about it, how impressed I was. But the services that they offered for the kids and the encouragement that they gave them, it just gave them a new life. I mean, the children were all extremely conversant. They talked like adults, and they were so proud of the work that they had done. There was some photography. There were all kinds of activities. And so I know that they do a great job. And when my granddaughter was in 4-H, we dealt a lot with the extension on the bigger shows and things. And they do a great job, offer a wonderful service.
Well, thank you for saying that.
You're very
And we're always
welcome.
looking for volunteers for that program. And this year I got to do the food tasting, and let me tell you, that was actually really worth it. So you should definitely come out. Cake tasting is an awesome thing to judge at the fair. Any other questions?
Any other questions or comments?
Well, thank you, all of you. I appreciate your continued support.
Thank you for the work you do. Administrator?
Yes, the next agency that we have available this evening is Rebuilding Together Kansas City. And I believe Mr. Hickok is here, and let me, okay, I'm sorry. Do a little work here. Do you want the video to play first?
No.
Okay. Just let me know when you're ready for the video.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Marty Clariday, and I am the Program Director at Rebuilding Together Kansas City. Our Executive Director, Scott Hickox, had planned to be here tonight, but his son was involved in a motorcycle accident in California, and he is out being with him. His son is doing fine, recovering. He's got a long recovery, but he asked me to present in person. Circumstances he asked me to step in, excuse me. First of all, thank you for your gift of $15,000 last year. Rebuilding Together Kansas City is grateful for the support of the Clay County Commission. We have a short 3-minute video to share, and I think it captures who we are and what we do at RTKC.
It's been said that home isn't easy to define, but you know when you're there. No matter the size or the cost of the house, everyone longs for it to be a home, a place of security, of refuge, a place for friends and family together, a place where memories are made and cherished, a place they can call their own.
We celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary. We have 2 daughters, 6 grandkids.
We don't have a big family house or anything, but we got a big place now, okay? This is where we plan to spend the rest of our life, you know?
I've had to have both of my knees replaced. Learning to walk again is more than an ocean, and to be able to get in and out easier. To stay in this house would be great.
Yeah.
But sadly, for thousands of people in our community, their house is not a home. Because of repairs they cannot afford to make, it isn't safe, it isn't warm, it isn't comfortable. And that's why the work of Rebuilding Together Kansas City is so important. Rebuilding Together is a place where people in need find people who care.
It's more than a godsend, I'll say that. It's like little angels without wings coming down here to help you with hammers and nails. And it's great because you can see big smiles. And you get to see them benefit.
We come alongside some of our most vulnerable neighbors and give them hope.
It's 2018 Williamstown with cancer and brain tumors. They redid my floors because I have breathing sarcoidosis in my diaphragm. So we have some really old carpet in here. So they ripped that out. And the guys came in and helped put in some rails. It's done good things for me, but I can see how it's made a big difference for him. It makes me not worry so much.
I mean, I was overjoyed. The air is cleaner. I couldn't believe it. I was still in shock. Today, I'm still in shock. Like, I was knocking on the door, I cannot believe that they did all this work. We assess critical needs and make repairs so that people can regain their dignity and experience what most of us take for granted. The benefits of a safe and healthy home.
Between Christmas and New Year's, Bill was in rehab after his leg was amputated. I had specific things I had to have in place before I could bring him home. The only thing I didn't have was a ramp. I couldn't get him in there. Nobody helped me, you guys.
Companies never returned a call for like 5-6 weeks. And Marty called me back the first working day after New Year's. And they came that morning to install that ramp. It was a blessing is what it was.
It filled a need physically and emotionally for me.
Rebuilding Together has found a way to pay it forward.
And the people they're great, they're even personal too.
It's like church family. You know, you come in, you don't need no stranger.
So easy to work with. It was amazing.
They know. They've been there, they've been through so much. They know.
Your generosity allows us the privilege of repairing homes. And in the process, we all get to be a part of rebuilding lives.
We exist to eliminate. We exist to eliminate unsafe and substandard living conditions. And we do that by doing essential home repairs and safety modifications for veterans, seniors, people with disabilities, and people who simply can't afford it themselves. We want homeowners to be able to stay in their homes, and we work, and the work we do enables them to do so. Our clients' average income is below $25,000 a year. Rebuilding Together has been serving the needs of Clay County for over 20 years. And during 2023, we are on track to serve 50% more homeowners than we did a year ago. We plan to repair 150 homes this year. The money you provided funded 12 projects on 6 homes last year. One of the gentlemen that we helped this year, he was an 81-year-old handicapped gentleman that had been suffered from several things, cancer being one, and he was hit by an uninsured motorist, and he was trying to get in and out of his home in a very unsafe way. And he'd fallen several times, and we were able to leverage some other funding and install a handicap ramp. And we also went in and nominated him for Rebuilding Day once a year that we do. And we cleaned up his yard. He hadn't been able to do anything for 6 months, and he was a very proud man, but I talked him into letting us help, so. Our total impact in Clay County to date is nearly 100 home projects valued at over $150,000. Our plan is to grow that number in 2024 significantly. We have completed projects in 7 Clay County communities: Liberty, Pleasant Valley, Gladstone, North Kansas City, Smithville, Kearney, and Excelsior Springs. We are requesting $30,000 this year to help fund our growing impact in Clay County. Thank you again for your support in the past, and thank you for your consideration of continued support of RTKC. At this time, I'd like to ask if you have any questions.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes, thank you. How do you hear about the people that you help?
Word of mouth is it's really growing big time. Our applications are up probably 50 to 60%. I've been with them going on 9 years, and it just, first thing we do is we require an application to see where they fall within the program. And then I go out and do a home visit and an assessment on each home, and get to meet them and see just what their needs are.
Okay. Well, thank you. God bless you. It looks like you've really been impactful on so many people that you've helped. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me.
I noticed also from your handout that you have a number of partners that we work with. Clay County Health Centers, Northland Neighbors, who we'll be hearing from, Clay County Senior Services. So is that another source that you are able to find folks who need help, is through those other agencies?
That is correct, yeah. We have a collaboration with several organizations, and we kind of help each other, and anytime we can.
That's something that I think is a very positive thing, because when we have agencies that are in the county that work together, certainly the sum is greater than the individual parts. So we certainly appreciate the cooperation between all these different organizations.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you very much, and thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, technical difficulties, operator here. Our next speaker is from Northland Neighbors neighborhood, and Deb Herbin is here, and I'm trying to find her PowerPoint presentation. So, I'll let you know, Deb. Is it this one? Okay. There you go.
Thank you, thank you. Good evening. I apologize, as soon as I sat in the chair tonight and went to put my glasses on, the arm fell off, and I thought, well, that's great. So I'm glad to be back here tonight and consider you some of our great partners. When I hear people say, well, you get $75,000 from the county, we don't get $75,000. The citizens of Clay County do, those that need home repair. We do work closely with Rebuilding Together and some other organizations. We all do different. We're all helping some of the same clientele, but we all have different skills and different ways we go about that work. Before you is I've provided, well, maybe it's going to work here. No. No, there it is. Maybe. Yes. Just this is highlights. I just pulled out some projects, kind of show the different kinds of work that we do. This first one is a home in North Kansas City with 2 senior citizen sisters living there. And these stairs, it's hard to tell in the pre-picture, but they're cupped and loose. We replaced those. Whoops. Also replaced the windows, more than just these 2 windows. I'm just showing some of the work. These are old windows that were leaky and causing their heat bills to go through the roof. Also their chimney, which you can tell in the picture, is pretty well falling apart. We redid that and added installed the cap on it. We also installed grab bars in their bathroom. This next one was a very simple project. We like to see these. And these are some homeowners, it's a younger family taking pretty good care of the home they've bought, but they needed help with a new roof. This one, we did a new roof and gutters and downspouts, and we were out of there. This one house, the neighbors have got to be so glad that we showed up. Very low income, $19,000 a year, that's the 27% AMI. And as you can see, the house is in pretty horrendous condition. Like I said, the neighbors had to be really glad we showed up. This one, a thorough paint plus, removing or repairing rotted wood, gutters, downspouts. It's a fairly large project for us. Huge improvement. On top of, we see our goal is kind of twofold. On top of helping the homeowner, we're really trying to save our neighborhoods too. No one wants to live next door to this. No one wants to buy a house next door to it. This next one is a woman, I believe, yes, very recently widowed, home in Gladstone. This one, her air conditioner went out at the beginning of the season this year. We replaced the air conditioner, we replaced her water heater. And although the picture we've got doesn't show just how badly it's broken up, her driveway was broken up and we replaced it. Next one, this is a client that got quite a bit of help from us last year. We had one thing we ran out of money and time to do. He had a patio that had sunk toward the home and was dumping water into the foundation. Staff decided it would be cheaper. We rebuilt the earth underneath or next to the house and put in a wooden small deck or steps. This one, Gladstone, again, very low income, $9,900 a year. Had some major damage done from some pipes freezing and bursting. This is the kitchen when we saw it. This had all been destroyed due to water. The picture on, it would be on your right also, is of the work that we did, which is replace the floor, just replace these 3 cabinets. The appliances were there. The bathroom was awful, as you can see over here. This is after we replaced the wall behind the tub. The tub is the same tub. We took out the door, replaced the floor around it and the wall, and a new toilet. And as you can see, that's a new floor. And this shows some of the pictures of the extensive PEX work or replace water lines that was done in the basement. It's one of those projects, we would like to go out to someone's home and make it beautiful for them and make it like new again. We're always on a tight budget. We try to hit those things that are the highest priority. That's going to make the home the most livable. Unfortunately, we run into cases where there's no way we would have enough. We literally have to turn clients down because the home is in such bad repair. This is a small project in Kearney, plumbing repairs, and she wanted a grab bar in her bathtub. And I can see from the before and after she added a lawn chair too, but we didn't. She felt much safer taking a bath. This one, and it's hard to take pictures of all of these. This home in Excelsior Springs, he called us, he had frozen pipes. This is showing water leaking, which really doesn't tell you much. We went out and fixed the frozen pipe issue. This one, the woman's husband she was getting her husband out of the hospital and was afraid he wouldn't be able to come home. He was leaving the hospital with his mobility seriously impacted. So we went out, and you can see it's just a small step, but one that he wouldn't be able to make. We installed these railings or grab bars. This is their garage. The step from the garage to the house, we put in this ramp. This one was this lady, a senior citizen, lots of mobility issues. We went out, but one of her big problems is she was afraid to leave her house. We replaced this old bathtub with a walk-in shower. Here is why she was afraid to leave to come or go out of her house. These are her front steps, and with her mobility problems, she was terrified of falling. We added this railing here. In the back, and it's hard to see in the pictures, but these stairs are in really bad condition. You can see where some of them are chipping and they're cupped and loose. We replaced the treads. The next several pages are of the data, and these are just the Clay County projects that we have done. They total almost $700,000, with $140,000 of those being outside of Kansas City. And that is just where we are to date. Very proud of our work. Been a little slower this year. As you know, we started off just working in Kansas City. It's the demand and the need in the rest of Clay County and Platte County too that caused us to expand our reach. We wouldn't be able to do the $140,000 without the support of the county. Those are grants that we apply for from FHLB, from Missouri Housing Trust Fund, United Way, and it provides the match we need to make those grants work outside of Kansas City. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You do great work, and it's one of the things that is really nice to see is you're all over the county. You're not just in one particular area, but you're in Kearney, you're in Excelsior, you're all over the county, which the countywide mission is certainly something that we like to see in these outside organizations. So thank you for your breadth of reach.
We've got a couple of large projects coming up in Excelsior and in Kearney at this time that should be completed by the end of the year. One is a big sanitary sewer problem in Excelsior, but we're proud of what we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Administrator?
Yes, our final agency that is with us this evening is the Clay County EDC, and David Slater is here.
Good evening, Commissioners. We are asking for the same amount that we got last year. And if you look at the budget we gave you the bottom 4 lines of what we would tend to do with your finance. And the first item is $40,000, and it says sustainable places. There's a program at the Mid-America Regional Council that helps with economic development, and there's a cost share to it. And we would like to do 2 projects that come to mind right off the bat is the new Riverwalk in Smithville, and then Kearney 19th Street. 2 weeks ago, I met with the Kearney Public Works Director, City Administrator, and Economic Development Director. And we talked about how we're going to utilize 19th Street because the plans right now we don't think are the best utilization for the city. And we'll get into that more, but it'd be good to have that background from a planning study done by Mark. The second thing is Commissioner Carpenter serves on our Midwest Small Business Finance Board, and that is our lending arm where we go out and make loans to companies that a bank would not finance. For instance, if you've got a $100,000 loan, a bank would loan you $50,000, you'd have to put $10,000 in your own equity, but the SBA would underwrite $40,000. And we like doing that because banks don't like making restaurant loans. There's some questionable loans that turn out well, but if we can get them on the SBA and get them to put the 10% down, we're in good shape. But problem is, we've cleaned up the loan portfolio as of today. We closed on our last bad loan. We sold it off, but there's a lot of compliance issues, as Commissioner Carpenter can allude to also. And it's things that happen. I didn't even know we still got examined because we don't have deposits, but they sure come in and look at you. And the last one was 6 years ago, and of our findings, about 40% of them were previous findings, and that does not sit well with me. We will clean those up, but we're gonna need help. We have got to get a CPA audit and loan review, and that's gonna cost us some money. And it's gonna be for more than 1 year. So that's what we're asking for. Our website stinks. And it's better than it was when I started. We had it upgraded, but if you compare ours to Platte County EDC, it's nothing. We want to be able to go out there and show the links where there's open properties, what's on those properties, the buildings out there, what's available, and work a little bit closer to make sure that when we have an opportunity presented that, hey, this is out there in Excelsior, this is in Kansas City or Kearney, whatever, or Pleasant Valley even, and that we've got a good fit for them. And the last one is the Clay County Airport. It's my hope, it's our hope that this commission picks a professional firm to run that airport, because that's just a diamond in the rough out there, and it's such a nice facility. And we talked with Liberty, Kearney, and Excelsior Springs EDC, and that's a triangle out there. And with the World Cup coming, the people can fly in and see that, and we'll make sure people know it's out there. So that is it. If you look at the budget, we're showing a $10,000 loss, which is basically, we'll cash flow that with the money he gave us last year. There's a little bit of leftover. So, questions?
By the way, I understood that you had a meeting this afternoon. I was unable to attend related to Northland Transportation, where you guys work with the Platte County EDC in an effort to get more funding up into Clay County from MARC and other entities. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we had Ron Akiopold, who's a director of transportation from MARC, up to tell us a little bit about the inner workings of MARC. And at the same time, I was able to ask him about the $14 billion state STIP program and how that got funded without funding any of our issues. But we work very closely with Platte County. There's really good north-south access to highways here. You've got from 69 highway over to I-35 that runs to Kearney, and then 169 to Smithville, across the Buckle Neal Bridge, 29 to Platte City, and 7 to Leavenworth. But we don't have that cross section. And two of our major projects are 92 highway from Excelsior to the Fort, and make that 2 lanes to 4 lanes. And that's one thing too, before I forget it. The plans you looked at earlier, make sure there's enough room for 4 lanes to go through there, because that looked a little snug. Okay, if you can relay that to your planning commission, because the goal's got to be to make that 4 lanes eventually. And also 291 is another one. If you look at that, if you go from I-35, there's 4 lanes all the way to Ash Street, which is not very far. But from Ash to 435 on 291, then it turns into Cookingham Drive. There's a lot of development going on out there, and it's a 2-lane roller coaster, very similar to what Berry Road was 30 years ago. And those need to be fixed, and that's what we're working with Platte County EDC. We're also working with them on the split, where I-29, I-35, and 169 all converge. And there's been a Pell study done, but there needs to be another study done also. And we're just trying to work together to connect Northland. And so.
Thank you. Commissioner Withington.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Yes, sir.
Earlier this year, this commission had communicated to you guys a desire to be able to name who was on the executive committee, and we asked that be included with your guys' 2024 funding request. Have you guys made that adjustment on your end to allow for us to pick who is on the executive board?
No, we will not change our bylaws.
So you're not?
That's from the executive board, yeah.
Okay.
The question is, as you all understand, but we've got something that works for almost 50 years. And if anybody doesn't think we're clicking along pretty good right now, then maybe we can show you differently. But we feel we have a winning formula. The voters pick the presiding commissioner to sit on our board, and the executive board says that. Now, if you wanted to fund us with less money like you do NNI and not have anybody on our board, we'd be agreeable to that too. But we just feel that with our bylaws that have worked for the last 48 years, that we wanted to make sure that the presiding commissioner represents the county commission on our board. And if it costs us our funding, our board is very aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. Good evening, Dave. Thanks for coming. You had, or your board had invited us at various points a couple months ago to participate in your strategic planning sessions and talking to us about our thoughts, desires, whatever, as far as the future of the organization is concerned. Just sort of curious as to where you are at in that process And at what point might you release what that strategic direction might be?
We're still putting it together. We shared it briefly with the full board a month ago. Commissioner Johnson was there. But it's still a work in process, and we want to share at the annual meeting that we'll have in December.
Okay, very good.
Which, of course, you're all invited to. Hopefully you come.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Commissioner Lawson.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. You said to Commissioner Withington that things had always been that way and that they'd work quite well, and I'm sure they have. But sometimes change is a really good thing, number one. Number two, the body here has changed from just our 3 that we've always had for many, many years, now to 7.
Right.
And I appreciate the fact that you've allowed some of us to now be on your regular board. But I sincerely would appreciate if you would sit down with your executive board and look at the feasibility. I don't care who it is, but that instead of 1, that we have 2 sitting on that executive board. And I'm making a suggestion, I'm not demanding. But like I say, change is sometimes a good thing. And I think that we'd have a wider representation. Commissioner Nolte's done an exemplary job, but what 1 can do, 2 can do better. So it's just a consideration I'd like you to think about.
Right. That was discussed, but I will bring it up. There's an exec board next Wednesday, and I will bring it up at that point.
Further questions or comments?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you very much. Administrator?
So looking at the list of agencies, the agency that was not able to be here this evening due to conflict is the Northland Healthcare. They're currently funded at $30,000 and their request for next year is $50,000. So I have invited them to come next week during discussion. That is a significant increase, and they've got a new program that they'd like to talk to the commission about. So we will have Karen next week under discussion, and she can talk about her request.
Very good. Anything else from any commissioners before we leave this discussion item? Seeing none, our next discussion item would be fixed base operations at Midwest National Air Center.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you know, we've had some discussion about the operations of the airport. Was several months ago that the Commission asked staff to put together a proposal to go out and solicit for a fixed base operator and sort of change the way that we operate the airport. So Deputy County Administrator Coons is here to talk about that process and introduce you to the individual that we are recommending for this particular change in operation.
Proceed.
Thank you. Good evening. Donna Coons, Deputy County Administrator. What I have is to kind of outline the steps and the timeline that we have gone through to reach this point, and a little bit of a background as to how this recommendation has come about. So the RFP 3523 went out on April the 25th. That request for proposal for a fixed base operator remained open until July the 7th. At that time, we went and formed a committee to sit down and review those proposals. And we were actually very fortunate because on Mid-America Regional Council, the Mid-America Director of Transportation, Ron Acapul, was available to be kind of an outside eyes for us. And we were able to utilize his expertise and see what he sees being a regional director. That committee formally sat down on August the 9th and went quite in depth in going through the proposals. We looked heavily at the financial situation of the proposed vendors. We looked at what they were proposing to us as far as a way to increase revenues for us in this partnership, particularly in the areas of fuel cells. We do have a great airport. We have a tenant that frequently fuels with us. But other than that, we are more transient type traffic. And so we're looking more for that steady flow and more looking at other businesses to be a partner with them. So during that time when the committee met and went through everything, we did compile a list of some clarification questions to make sure that what we were interpreting, their proposal, was what we thought they were meaning and saying in their document. So purchasing then went out with our clarification questions and sent those back out to the vendors. Those went back out on August the 10th. Both of the vendors that responded to our request for proposal got back with us really pretty quickly and to give us the additional information. After that, we sat down and we formed, well, I shouldn't say we formed, but we did in-person interviews. So then we asked the applicants to come in and do a presentation to us. And that gave us a chance to ask them specific questions, anything they said in their presentation, and also for them to ask us more what we were looking for, how did we envision this process working. After that happened, we then asked purchasing again to send out one more thing, and that was a request for best and final offer to the county. When those came back in, the committee then made a selection process. We went through and we rated the vendors and made a selection. And at that time, Airside FBO ranked the highest with the scoring committee. And I have here tonight the president of Airside FBO, Kyle Iser, who is gracious enough to come and stand before you if there's any specific questions. We have not formalized any contract documents yet with the vendor. That is still setting with legal. So just to make sure that you're aware that we don't have any formal contract at this time. That is being finalized and will be on the agenda for next week on the 26th. But with that, I'd like to formally introduce you to Kyle Iser of Airside FBO.
Hey, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Just thought I'd spend just a minute or two focusing on the background that I have in the aviation space, and then how that parlays over into Midwest National Air Center. So I have about 22-year career in the business aviation space. Most of it has been with FBOs, and a lot of it has been here in Kansas City. In 2010, Jim Stowers started Hangar 10, and so I helped to grow that operation from 0% to about 60% market share over the course of about 3 years. We ultimately did a transaction with Atlantic Aviation and continued to help develop some of the property space that was there. We ultimately, under the Atlantic umbrella, built 3 additional hangars that were there, and then also moved U.S. Customs over to the facility to ensure that international traffic could continue in and out of that airport. In 2018, had a private equity firm call and say, hey, can you turn around an operation down in Florida? And so we took that opportunity knowing that the end goal was to sell it. The business was losing about $500,000, and over the course of about a year, got it so it was generating about $750,000, $800,000. But it was by divesting a couple of business units that were not performing real well, but also solidifying some of the partnerships that were down in Melbourne, Florida. So there was Northrop Grumman, Embraer, some pretty major players that were on the field, and we were able to drive some additional revenue there and attract a little bit new, some additional business as well. And we had to navigate through COVID, and in 2021, did a transaction with Sheltair, and the family and I, we wanted to move back to Kansas City with the goal of owning and operating a handful of FBOs on the smaller scale, obviously. But in the Kansas City area. As soon as we moved back, we had some people say, hey, can you help? And so it has morphed into a consulting business, but that drive to find some locations in the Kansas City area has continued. And so I was very pleased to see the RFP come out. We're from Kansas City. My wife is from Liberty. And so this is right in our backyard, and we're pleased to support the endeavors. On the marketing side, we are very data-driven. That has led to a lot of our success at each one of those locations I've talked about in the past. We use a tool called TrackPack, and that provides a lot of valuable insight into operators that not only come into your airport, but that you can go out and attract from neighboring airports as well. On the success side, and this, I'm going to take some data from some of the clients that I work with on the consulting side, but we use a lot of the same tools and tactics, which is...
What on earth?
Well, it sounds like more serious. Who's winning?
How to get a baseball in there second.
So we use so on the marketing side, we focus on having a very nice website. Operational excellence is paramount. We spend a lot of time focusing on customer service interaction, making sure things like phone greetings are handled correctly. We want the customer service staff to be able to handle pricing negotiations immediately on the phone and so forth. And then from an outreach standpoint, we'll use, like I said, TrackPack to go out and target some of these clients. On the data side, and this is where I think I was going with that, at other locations, we have taken we have grown fuel sales over the course of about 12 to 18 months by about 84%. And the average uplift, which means the average gallons that jets are taking, has increased by about 30% as well. And a lot of that is due to pricing fuel appropriately. So I just want to give you guys a couple of data points. I'm happy to field any questions that you may have or expand on some of our prior experience. So we're very excited about it.
Thank you. Commissioner Withington.
I assume you've been up to the airport to look at things and view it. What do you think the biggest need is, and what do you think the greatest opportunity for the airport is?
Well, I mean, there's several components. I mean, one, on the operational side, there's a handful of things I'd like to shore up, like, fuel quality control and so forth. I also, one of the first things that we're intending to do is get an avgas truck on site so that we can do full service fuel. Self-service is great, but we want to continue to do that. Obviously, hangar space just globally is at a premium right now. And if you look at the Kansas City Downtown Airport, that is indeed the case. And so we would like to, consider exploring that. But under the current terms, which is a, relatively short lease term, that's something that we have, tabled. But we have some funding sources that we can certainly bring to the forefront once we're able to evaluate that. But like I said, there's a couple of fronts that we'd like to look at. One is the operational side. Hangar is very important. I guess I would also like to say the maintenance is a huge component in the Kansas City area as well, both on the turbine and the maintenance side. And so we'd like to partner with operators on that front as well.
Okay. Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. And this may be a little bit repetitive, so I'll try to ask it a different way. I'll first note, with Hangar 10, that was very successful and it continues to be successful at Wheeler. So certainly feel very good about that. I guess I'll ask my question in this manner. My understanding of FBOs, as limited as it is, part of the advantage of them is the number of services that you may be able to provide over and above what we may have in a static staffing kind of structure. You mentioned a moment ago about fuel trucks and having that available to be able to provide an extra level of service. I'm wondering, just for the uninitiated like myself, what other sorts of services do you think make sense there? And maybe they're not what you can accomplish in the first month, 3 months or whatever, but I'm trying to just kind of forecast out, how will this airport be different in its operation a year from now? And can you speak to that? Yeah, so I mean, I guess, to back up just a little bit, the FBO market has changed drastically. So back up, 20, 30 years ago, FBOs did everything. They were the fuel provider, they did charter, they did maintenance, and the industry has just evolved where it's just much more specialized now. So FBOs now have traditionally gravitated to real estate and fuel. Maintenance technicians typically focus on that activity, same with charter and aircraft management and so forth. And so I think with that understanding, one of the things we bring to the table right out of the gate is just top-notch service. So Hangar 10, for example, for those that are not familiar with the brand, was consistently ranked in the top 10 nationally. when we ran Apex down in Florida, we had several CSRs who were ranked nationally for providing outstanding service. And so we're going to incorporate a lot of those training programs. So I think that that'll be probably one of the first things that you'll see. But then, like I said, we have some of the infrastructure needs, fuel trucks and so forth, that we would like to update as well. One other thing to add to the airport, we would actually like to see a little bit bigger tank as well, but again, that kind of requires capital. Right now, the airport is not able to take full loads, and that has an impact on price to the users, and so that's something else we would like to explore down the road, not right out of the gate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I clicked it off and then there was a comment. One of the things you just said, as part of that specialization was kind of the use of the property, or if I can just kind of say it that way. It reminded me of one of the comments that Mr. Slater had just made concerning the EDC and one of the things that they identified, which was, of course, the airport. And so I'm kind of curious as to whether part of what you may do speaks to this idea of the airport as an economic development generator, which in and of itself gets into more real estate, more planning over time of uses and that sort of thing. I don't know if you want to speak to that. Very curious, because I think there are many of us who believe that there is an economic development opportunity that's kind of unmet, but there are reasons for that. So I don't know if you want to speak to any of that. Yeah, I mean, it's just the case, and I think that that's one of the things that a lot of airports or the leaders of airports need to do a better job of, and I will definitely try to be more engaged with, the commission and the county and so forth. But airports are absolutely a tool for, the counties, cities, the municipalities that are around to drive new business. It's a proven fact, and so we want to be a part of that. So again, going back to some of the data that we like to use, I think in the meeting I had mentioned, there's a large auto industry front here, and I see a lot of the cargo operations go to downtown, and so I'd like to drive some of that traffic, to this airport. Certainly events are things to focus on, and I heard the comment earlier about, the World Cup, and I 100% agree and want to support that, but at the same time, I also want to find businesses that are going to be here for the long term, right, and support the airport. So, going back to hangar development, that is going to be one of the key focal points that we're going to spend some time on, but it just takes time to understand some of the key players and, see who, we can, attract. And, we use that same mentality when we were growing Hangar 10/Atlantic. We had several key clients that were lined up, very notable organizations I think everybody's familiar with, before we even started those projects. And so having those conversations are just, very important, and it's just important to get out there into the field. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Other comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. We appreciate your time being here.
Appreciate the time.
That concludes discussions. Administrator, I believe that brings up your comments, if you'd like to proceed.
I do. I just have a couple of comments. The first is we're very excited to say that the administration building will be opening Monday at 8 o'clock to the public. Everybody is moving back in today and tomorrow, and so we will be open and operational full service starting Monday morning at 8 a.m. for the public. The second item to announce is there is a special meeting next Wednesday, a joint meeting with the Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission on our comp plan. And so that meeting will be at 6 o'clock here in the chambers on Wednesday, the 25th. And then the following evening on Thursday is the Commission's regular business meeting at 6 o'clock here in the chambers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to commissioner comments. Commissioner Withington, we'll start at your end of the table today. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, there you go.
Mike's got
Anytime these couples get on the field together, a great night for college football. And it was a very slow start for Southern Cal offensively a week ago.
Okay, that's enough of my
A little bit. This week is intercepted right down the middle of the defense. It's Watts. Xavier Watts with the pick. And he is still on his feet now as he takes this football is the veterans in that secondary. Coming up big.
All right, Mike, that's enough. All right, I asked Mike to get a picture. I didn't think he was gonna do a whole video. Anyway, last week, big rivalry game. My Notre Dame Fighting Irish beat Jay and John's Southern California Trojans. So just want to rub that in that since I've been commissioner, Notre Dame is 1-0 against Southern Cal.
Commissioner Lawson. Comment? Yes, your turn.
I'll wake up here in a minute. I was excited about Notre Dame whipping those California people. Anyway, couple of things. I'm really looking forward to the future of the airport. And I'm just going to make this a personal note. Many years ago, I watched my husband, Peggy Scholl, and I don't remember the other guy. But anyway, they broke ground for that airport. And I've watched it grow. I was out there for a lot of events and things of that nature. It has so much potential, and I want to see that potential developed. I'm so looking forward to it. We offer a lot more services. We can do a lot more with that airport than we've done. So whatever happens in the next month, I'm anxious to see how we take this on down the road. So thank you.
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. Well, first of all, to the earlier comments, wow, I didn't know I have to up my game apparently in the future, so yeah, I guess it does. Okay. But no, in all seriousness, this morning, there was a wonderful event at the KCI Expo Center for the North Kansas City School District's philanthropic arm, its foundation. And as many of you know, my wife sits on the board of the school board for North Kansas City Schools, and just an acknowledgement of the wonderful kids that were put on display today, from the drill, the bands to the students. It just gives me a lot of hope about this county and what we produce here in this county for the future. So just want to make an acknowledgement of their hard work. Thank you.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't compete with that. But I will say I was at the event this morning as well, and it was genuinely heartwarming to hear and see from the kids and staff, and totally agree that I think we're in good hands, and it is a reminder of how important it is to have good schools. Thanks.
Commissioner Thompson.
Comments, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, just let you know, I'm going to be bringing next week a resolution to censor Commissioner Withington for those antics. I'm very unprofessional. You guys won. You deserve the bragging rights. But no, I have no other comments.
Okay. And in the interest of getting out here sometime in advance of 10 p.m., I have no comments either. So with that, that brings us to, we have one topic under executive sessions. Is there a motion related to that issue?
Yes, I move to go into executive session pursuant to the revised statutes of Missouri, section 610.021 sub 12 for contractual matters and to adjourn therefrom.
Motion's been made to go into executive session under contractual Resmo 610.021 parentheses 12 and adjourn therefrom. Discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Wagner.
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson.
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Withington.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
We'll go into executive session and adjourn therefrom. Thank you.